Welcome to Elevate 24. I'm Stephanie Patton, and I'm excited to guide you through today's session. Elevate 24 is your around-the-clock professional development platform designed to support and empower teachers, administrators, and support staff at any time from anywhere. Each session is thoughtfully aligned with the Louisiana Educator Rubric, focusing on 4 key areas: planning, instruction, environment, and professionalism. Our guiding mission is empowering growth every role, every hour, every day. Today, we'll be diving into ethics, confidentiality, and data privacy. Let's get started. By the end of this presentation, you should be able to explain key privacy law governing data privacy, or FERPA. Also, you should be able to distinguish between key concepts, for example, like ethics, confidentiality, data privacy, and data security. So, who truly owns a student's data? Is it the school that collected it, the ed tech company that stores it, or the student and family? What rights should students have to view, correct, or even delete their own data? Before we go any further, there is key vocabulary that you need to be familiar with. The first is ethics. Ethics, by definition, is the moral principles governing behavior, including the collection and the use of data. Quite simply, it's the principles guiding the responsible and appropriate use of student data that ensures that it benefits the students ethically and equitably. Right and wrong, ethics provides a framework for making moral choices even when a specific law doesn't exist. We are to use it responsibly. It addresses questions such as whether data should be collected, how it should be used, and the impact on individuals and society. It also involves trust and transparency. Ethical data handling is about building and maintaining trust with individuals by being transparent about data practices. The next term is data privacy. Data privacy involves the right of an individual to control their own personal data, including who can collect it, use it, and share it. First thing we need to know about data privacy is it involves user rights, which focus on the right of a person whose data is collected and emphasizes consent and transparency. Also, it involves control and choice. It's about giving individuals autonomy over their private information. And lastly, compliance. Organizations must adhere to legal frameworks like FERPA to uphold data privacy. The third term is confidentiality. And confidentiality is a duty to protect sensitive information from unauthorized access or disclosures. Many times, information is shared with multiple or third-party vendors. So, it is about making sure that no information is leaked that the user does not want. It involves protecting secrets. It's a commitment to keep information private and share it only with authorized individuals. For example, a teacher maintaining confidentiality means not discussing a student's grades or disciplinary issues with other students or unauthorized parents. It also has a relationship to data security. Confidentiality is a goal achieved through data security measures. The last term is data security. Data security involves the measures and systems in place to protect student data from unauthorized access, breaches, or misuse. It's the technical and procedural safeguards put in place to protect data, again, from unauthorized access, loss, or damage. Very simply, it's the protection mechanisms. It refers to the tools and practices used to protect data, such as encryption, access controls, and firewalls. Also, it involves threat defense, which focuses on preventing security breaches and mitigating their impact. Within this is the CIA triad. It is built on three core principles: confidentiality, integrity, or preventing data tampering, and availability, ensuring access to data. Ethics, confidentiality, and data privacy in education involves a school's educators' responsibilities to protect student information such as grades, personal details, and assessment results. Now we'll review the legal frameworks. Number one, as we mentioned before, FERPA, or Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. It's a federal law giving parents and eligible students rights to access and control their educational records and protecting these records from unauthorized disclosure. The next is COPA, our Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. It governs the collection of personal information from children under 13 by websites and online services requiring parents' consent for educational program use. And the third we're going to discuss is PPRA, or Protection of Pupil Rights Amendment. It sets rules for how schools can survey students on private topics, including opinions on religion, politics, and sexuality. So why should educators care about student data privacy? There are legal and ethical restrictions that impact districts, schools, and teachers. Teachers should be aware of the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, or FERPA, and applicable state laws, along with their district or school policies regarding the use of educational products and services from ed tech vendors. It applies to all educational institutions that receive federal funding. Also, it gives parents of minor children certain rights over their child's education records, and these rights transfer to the student when they turn 18 or attend a post-secondary institution. So here are key FERPA provisions. The right to inspect and review. Parents and eligible students have the right to inspect or review their education records. Next, the right to amend. They have the right to request that a school correct records they believe are inaccurate or misleading. Third, control over disclosure. FERPA restricts the disclosure of personally identifiable information, or PII, from education records without the student's or parent's written consent. And last, notification of rights. Institutions must annually notify parents and eligible students of their FERPA rights. Now we're going to see a short video involving Student Privacy 101 for parents and students.
The Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, or FERPA, is a federal law which applies to educational institutions and agencies, such as schools, school districts, colleges, and universities, to which funds have been available under any program administered by the Secretary of Education. The purpose of FERPA is to protect the privacy of parents and students with regard to education records under Section 444 of the General Education Provisions Act as amended. Wow, it's easy to get confused with all that legal language. Let's try that again in plain English. The truth is, data about us is everywhere. It's collected when we shop, take a vacation, look at a web page, or send an email. You see, FERPA is a federal law that applies to most schools, colleges, and universities. It's meant to protect all that identifiable information about students in records that are kept by schools, and it provides the right for you to access that information, to seek to correct it, and generally to consent to its disclosure. Let's take a closer look at what that means. Today is Patrick's first day of kindergarten. As Patrick moves through the education system, his schools accumulate data, such as his grades, learning disabilities, or special needs information, and disciplinary information. As Patrick takes tests to see how he's progressing, his scores are protected by FERPA. FERPA requires schools and state and local educational agencies to keep the information that came from Patrick's records private and get his parents' written consent before sharing it with anyone else. There are some exceptions, but the general rule is Patrick's records are confidential. Students don't attend school anonymously, so schools routinely share some basic information about students, called directory information. If a school is going to share directory information, it must notify parents and students who are 18 or over or who attend post-secondary institutions. For example, Patrick's school yearbook contains his name, grade level, and photograph. That's okay because his school designated these items as directory information and published its policy on its website, and Patrick's parents haven't opted out. FERPA also requires schools provide Patrick's parents the ability to review his records to make sure they are accurate. Patrick's applying to college. He and his parents review his high school transcript and discover the school has gotten Patrick confused with another student who has lower grades. This isn't good. FERPA not only gives his parents the right to see the records, but also to request that the school correct mistakes. If Patrick's parents and the school disagree on the accuracy of the info, FERPA gives Patrick's parents the right to request a hearing. Colleges and universities are also required to protect student information under FERPA, but the rules change a bit. Meet Lisa, a high school graduate who is headed off to college. Hooray! While Lisa was in elementary, middle, and high school and under the age of 18, FERPA allowed her parents access to her education records. Now, Lisa is entering college, and her FERPA rights transfer from her parents to her. Her parents wonder, but wait a minute, I'm paying the bills here, and now I can't see how she's doing academically? Since Lisa's parents claim her as a dependent on their federal tax return, her parents can still see her education records if Lisa's college chooses to release them. FERPA doesn't require schools to release records, it only allows this. You may be wondering, how do I find out more about how FERPA affects me or my child? To start, look for your school or school district's FERPA policy on its website, or ask your principal or school administrative staff about your rights under FERPA. Visit the Department of Education's Family Policy Compliance Office website for answers to frequently asked questions on privacy, training, and guidance for parents and students on FERPA rights and protections.
So now let's discuss what is and what isn't covered by FERPA. Under protected, we have records directly related to a student and maintained by the school, such as grades, disciplinary records, and student IDs. What's not protected by FERPA are records that are exempt or sole possession records, meaning notes used only as a memory aid, law enforcement unit records, medical treatment records, and directory information unless the student or parent opts out of disclosure. So here are some practical considerations for educators. Understand the data. Recognize that student personal information like demographics, assessment results, and grades, it's private. Next, number 2, secure data storage. Use secure systems and double-check permissions when sharing documents online to prevent unauthorized access. Number 3, vet educational tools. Schools should have processes to identify and approve educational apps and services, ensuring they comply with privacy laws before students interact with them. Number 4, follow policies. Adhere to school and district policies regarding data use, access, and sharing. And number 5, provide training. Participate in data privacy and security training to build confidence in handling student data ethically and responsibly. So by this time, you've probably noticed that a lot of these key concepts are interconnected, are connected in some way, but they are not interchangeable. So what I'm going to do is give you, a cheat sheet to remember them. The first is, again, ethics. Remember, ethics guides all. It is what is right to do with data. Data privacy. Data privacy defines the what. It establishes an individual's right to control their own personal information. Then there's confidentiality. I guess we could specify it by who. It is the obligation that we have to protect sensitive information and share it only with authorized parties. And last but not least, data security is the how. How will we protect the data and uphold confidentiality and privacy? So now let's practice. I'm going to read the scenario and you decide if it is a FERPA violation or not. Scenario number 1. Mr. Davis, a high school history teacher, finishes grading midterm exams. To save time, he posts a list of student names and their corresponding scores on the classroom door. Is this a FERPA violation or not? Scenario 1 is a violation of FERPA. Student grades are personally identifiable information, or PII, from education records and cannot be publicly disclosed without parental or eligible students, if applicable, consent. What Mr. Davis should have done was use a secure, password-protected online portal for students to check their grades individually, or use a unique, anonymous code known only to the student and teacher if physical posting is necessary. Now let's move on to scenario number 2. A student is found unconscious in a school hallway after an allergic reaction to food. The school nurse quickly administers aid and calls emergency medical personnel. When the EMTs arrive, the nurse tells the student's name and that he has a severe peanut allergy and hemophilia, which is noted in his health records. Is this a FERPA violation or not? The disclosure of health information is generally protected, but FERPA has an exception for health and safety emergencies. School officials can disclose PII from education records to appropriate parties like medical personnel if the information is necessary to protect the health or the safety of a student or individuals during an actual emergency. The nurse's actions were compliant with FERPA, as the information was shared in a genuine emergency to ensure the student received appropriate and timely medical treatment. Now for our last scenario. Scenario 3. A school counselor receives a call from a non-custodial parent requesting their child's progress report and discipline records. The parent mentions they are divorced from the custodial parent. Is this a FERPA violation or not? FERPA generally gives both natural parents equal rights to access their child's educational records, unless the school has been provided with a court order explicitly revoking or limiting these rights. The non-custodial parent does not need the custodial parent's permission to access these records. The school counselor should verify the caller's identity and, assuming no court order to the contrary exists, provide the parent access to the requested information. So how did you do? How many did you get correct? 2 out of 3? 3 out of 3? Awesome. Thank you for joining me today for this session of Elevate 24. I hope that you are walking away with fresh ideas, practical strategies, and a renewed sense of purpose in your role. Remember, professional growth isn't limited to one time or place. Elevate 24 is here to support you anytime, anywhere. Let's continue to grow together, every role, every hour, every day. Thanks again, and I look forward to seeing you in future sessions.